Alright guys, welcome back to another video, and today's all about the restaurants that you go to on the Disney Wish, the rotating restaurants, and the three main restaurants that you go to, and me showing off all the food that you get and the experience that you have at these restaurants and my impressions on them. As always guys, if you guys are ready to book your next Disney vacation, reach out to me. I am a travel agent, so we can go ahead and start planning your next vacation. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into the video.
Gaming tech, eating brekkie is the gaming tech. Going for a brekkie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie is the gaming tech. Gaming techie.
So one of the things that I ended up really liking on the Disney Wish that I never experienced on another boat before on any of the other cruises I've ever been on is that you actually go to different restaurants every single night. And the first restaurant that we went to, or almost every single night, they all have their own things, which we'll talk about in this video. And the first restaurant we actually went to was Arendelle from Frozen. The theming on this restaurant is fantastic. They did not do... They didn't cheap out on anything. You can see the long corridor. You really feel like you're entering Arendelle. The whole point of this is there is a celebration going on for the marriage of the characters here, and it's fantastic. And you can see you're walking through the hallway. You have all the different artwork and stuff like that. And it's really, really cool. And what they do on these, as we walk into the restaurant here, what they do is that they put on a show. This one being the first one, like I said, Arendelle for Frozen, and they put on a show in center stage. The only thing that was a little bit disappointing for us is we literally got the very end of the corner of the room, so we weren't like at the prime action of the show. Obviously the show is on the center stage, so the closer you are to it, the better experience you're gonna have. And we were all the way in the corner. I still saw everything. I didn't have like anything in the way, so I still saw the characters and all the music and everything that was going on. But I wish I was closer to the actual action, because I think I would have enjoyed the show even more. But the show was fantastic either way. I love the renditions that they did and the characters and stuff like that, and you guys will see that here shortly, a little bits and pieces of it. But the theming of the restaurant as we walk in here is just top notch. Definitely my favorite restaurant as far as the theming goes, because they went all out. And it was my second favorite when it comes to food, which we'll talk about here shortly on my first one. But the food here was fantastic. Everything that we had was really, really good. And for the most part, that kind of stayed true on our cruise trip, except for one restaurant, which we'll talk about later in the video. But yeah, this place was fantastic, and let me show you, and let me let you guys listen to some of the clips here from these shows so you guys can get an idea of what goes on here.
Oh no, this is like onion thing. What do they call it? Onion bread.
Elsa usually do these. Let me see. Oh my goodness. Look, you freeze me light. Oh my goodness, you make me an ice sculpture for Big Summer Vlog, yeah?
I don't know if
I give you a royal discount for helping. 4% off, yeah? And you will come to Sana for a free trip, no? Alright, I see you there, family. Enjoy the food. Look, it's royally arrived by our best Arendelle Castle staff. No? We come land your whole birthday party. Hello, families. Hello. Are you enjoying the party? I must tell you, this is Olaf's favorite seat in Arendelle. He tells me, Mr. Oaken, I like to be close to the water. Water has memory. I don't know what that means, but it sounds good, no? All right, I see you on Big Summer Vlog. Hello, family over here. You see royal decorations, no? Anna and Elsa on every plate, just for a party, yeah? You are all coming to Big Summer Vlogs as well, yeah? I give you free trip to Sana, no? All right, I see you there, family. Enjoy the food.
So they do have drinks that are themed to the different restaurants and stuff. I didn't get a specific drink on here. My wife did, though, here, as you can see, with that blue Frozen drink there, which is really cool. I just got my strawberry daiquiri like I do everywhere, because that's my thing. And then we have the food here. That thing right there is kind of the staple that everyone talks about. It has scallops inside. If you're a scallop fan, that's definitely not one to be missed. The tart that I had here was also fantastic. And then we have this apple pie here, which was really, really good. We unfortunately didn't get a video of the dinner, but the dinner here was fantastic. Everyone loved their dinner, and we had a great time eating here. Everything about the food was really, really good. So this is the next restaurant that we went to. This is 1923. This is our favorite restaurant, or at least my favorite restaurant of all of them when it comes to the food. The theming is obviously there's a Walt side and a Roy side, so we got the Walt side. It's really nicely themed. This is, of course, where they have their elegant nights. And everything looks really fancy here. You have all of these different pieces of memorabilia from, from all the history of Walt and stuff like that, as you guys are seeing here, from different movies and drawings and all these different things that you see as you walk around the restaurant. It looks fantastic, and they did a really good job with this one. I do put the theming of Frozen and Arendelle as my number one when it comes to theming, just because I think that was just fantastically well done, as you guys saw earlier in the video. But this one, the food was just a tad better than what it was at Frozen, but both really, really good, as we mentioned at the beginning of both of these restaurants. These were really, really good. And the theming on here, as you guys can see from all these different movies and stuff, is also really well done. Fantastic on both fronts for both. You got some Bambi here and just really good stuff from Disney as it comes to theming to these restaurants. So like I said, we kind of rotate through these restaurants. One day we're in the other one, and now this time we were in the 1923, which I really, really like that concept of rotating through different restaurants. Your servers and stuff all still follow you. Shout out to Caesar. He was fantastic for us. That was our server on here. So you still get that same experience, but you just get to go to different restaurants that are differently themed, which I think other cruise lines should definitely adapt, because I think that's really cool. And these are some of the appetizers that we got here on the corner. Shout out to me for eating my appetizer before recording it, which I forgot, which is what you're looking at here, because I totally forgot. But it was really, really good. As you can tell, I forgot to even record it before I started eating it. But all the appetizers here were fantastic. We got some presunto here with that we got as well, with some cheese there, and these nice little crackers with some jam on there or something like that, or cranberries, which were also fantastic. Then I got this basil soup. Tomato basil soup, which was also really, really good, with some croutons there on top, as you guys are looking at here, because you could order multiple appetizers if you want to. And then the dinner here is, I got the filet mignon, which was fantastic. As you can tell, a really nice thick piece of it. It was so good. And then that's mashed potatoes there on the side with some tomatoes on top. Really, really good. And then here's some other food that the other guys got, which they all thought was fantastic as well. And then it came the dessert. This is a cheesecake here that I got, which was really good. They got a sundae there, which they also really loved. Again, the food was really liked by everyone. We got some churros there on the side that someone else got there. And we liked everything here. Like I said, this was the best food that we had as far as 1923 restaurant, followed by Arendelle that we talked about earlier, but they were really close. And then again, shout out to Caesar, who was our server here, and he always gave us these little magic tricks that he did, his little puzzles to solve while we were eating dinner. He did a fantastic job serving us, and whoever gets him is gonna have a fun time. He did a fantastic job in taking care of us on all the different restaurants that we went to. And then you always double up. If you go on a 4-night cruise, you actually go to the same one of the restaurants twice, and you get the pirate menu. The pirate menu obviously being this one here that you guys are looking at. Again, this was back in 1923, which is the restaurant that we doubled up at on our 3rd night. And again, everything on this menu that we ate was fantastic. That cornbread you're looking at was so good. I could have eaten that cornbread, over and over and over again with how good that was. The food here, again, was fantastic. We all liked exactly what we ate here with the appetizers and everything that you guys are seeing here. Everything was really, really good from all of us. The salad there that looked really, really good. I had some of that. Here is my appetizers that I got. There's a shrimp that we had, which was also really good. No complaints about the food up until this point. This salad that I had was really, really good. I love the dressing on the Italian dressing that was on top of it. The Thousand Islands, I think, is what it was called. Looks simple, but really, really good piece of salad there. And then the dinner came out, and this is one of the dishes that I got. The spaghetti in there was really good. We got some shrimp in there, we got some scallops in there. Everything tasted really fresh. Then we got some jerk chicken, I believe is what that was. And then we moved on to dessert, and that chocolate dish there was all really good. Everyone, like I said, loved everything that we were eating, so there weren't really any complaints on this up to this point as far as everything that we were eating on 1923. Everything was fantastic. And then, of course, we got some drinks in here as well that people got. We got an espresso martini as well. So we all were definitely having a good time at this restaurant with all the food that we got. And of course, I stuck to my strawberry daiquiri. That's not in this video, but that I got on every single opportunity I could because I love them. And here comes the disappointing part of the cruise. One of the things that I was definitely disappointed with is Marvel here. And that's kind of been the theme. And I actually like the Marvel show. I didn't hate it as much as other people did. It kind of reminds me of Animator's Palette that are on the other Disney boats that I went on before. And this is the entrance of Marvel. I think the theming is pretty well done. I don't think there's anything wrong with the theming. It's definitely not as good as Arendelle, where you kind of felt like you were walking into there. But the theming here is still really well done when you actually walk in here and see Marvel and kind of go to your table and you have screens everywhere to see the show. And again, I don't have an issue with the show. I think the show was pretty cool. My biggest issue with this restaurant is just that the food wasn't very good. Granted, the food that I got was better than what the others got, but all the others said that the food was definitely their worst experience, and most of them didn't even finish their food. It's really surprising on why the food is so not very good at the Marvel area when it's so good at the other restaurants that I talked about here in the previous video. So it was definitely disappointing. The show was good. It's definitely not the greatest show I've ever seen. Again, Arendelle and Frozen being better. But I did appreciate the show, and I think I had fun with the show on what they were doing and stuff. And you guys will get a snippet of that here in a minute. And once we get to our table, you see all these little, like, I forget what they call them on the show now, but these little things that you interact with on the show. I thought you were going to interact with it more, but it's really just clicking a button when they tell you to on the show. Granted, there's a lot of fancy lights around the room and everything and around these things, so it definitely added to the vibe. Again, the show was pretty good. I had a fun time watching the show. It was just the food. I think if the food was actually better, we would have had a much better time here, because every time we were watching the show, we just kept eating our food and thinking of how it wasn't that great. But here is the menu of the drinks. Now, the drinks were on a different level again. All different themed drinks to the area. And this is actually my favorite drink that I actually got here. I forget the name now that I actually had, but the drink was my favorite drink of the whole entire thing. And it came in a little cool cup that I got to use. And this is, again, my favorite drink that I had on the whole cruise. And this is the dinner menu that you had here. Again, not a very good menu where it comes to the food, which you guys will see here in a minute. These are the bread that they gave out. The bread was fine. It wasn't bad that you dipped into that sauce. The bread there was always a disappointing theme, because that white one, the regular white bread, was always hard as a rock for some reason. I don't know why. But here is the show. I'll let you guys watch a little bit of it so you guys can get a feel for what the show is like.
All right, thank you. You know what? I need to breathe. Find my chi. I just need 15 minutes.
Find my chi.
Hi, I'm Scott Lang. But you might know me as Ant-Man.
And I am Van Dyne, the Wasp.
Look, before we start, let me address the elephant in the room. I've heard a lot of chatter out there asking why I didn't shrink down, go in, and kill Thanos in a really creative way. First of all, gross. Secondly, it's much more complicated than that. Allow me to explain.
If only we had the time. Anyway, tonight, through the power of quantum science, we will show you how together we can change the world.
Yeah, now look, don't worry kids, quantum science sounds overwhelming, but trust me, it is.
These are quantum.
So this is the first part of the appetizer that we got. These are like some sort of pork things, pork belly, I believe is what it's called. It was not very good. The whole thing was fat. I know that pork belly is supposed to have some fat, but like maybe give me some meat with that fat. But the whole thing was just fat. And we all agreed that this was not very good at all because we all got it. And then this is the soup that I got, the broccoli cheddar soup. It wasn't bad. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I ate it and I enjoyed it. Definitely not as good as some of the other meals I had. And then came the actual dinner. So this is what some of the others at the table got. And the spaghetti was just very dry, not very good. The scallops I heard weren't very good. This isn't the dish I got, but they didn't enjoy this one at all. I got a very basic chicken, fried chicken, as you guys can see here. And I actually liked it, but it wasn't anything special. Of course, when you come on these cruises and stuff, you expect something better for dinner. I just had a regular basic chicken because that was the best thing I saw on the menu, and it was good. But it wasn't anything extravagant, and especially compared to the other restaurants. Then we see some characters here when the show ends kind of come out and greet everyone and stuff from Ant-Man, which was really cool. They weren't out there for that long, but it was cool to see some characters come out here while we were eating dinner. Again, nothing fantastic about the restaurant. The food was definitely the worst of the restaurants that we ate at. minus the actual drink that I got. That was my favorite thing about it. My chicken was fine, but nothing out of this world, and everyone else kind of didn't like their meal at all and didn't really eat anything because it wasn't very good from this restaurant. So really disappointing on this restaurant. The show was good. Nothing spectacular, but the food was definitely a disappointment. All right, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the impressions of all of those restaurants on the Disney Wish, and thank you guys for watching. Till next time.